Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the It's Okay Kid podcast, your weekly dose of clarity and self-discovery. So this week's episode, I want to talk to you about reinventing yourself and how it's a good thing, and imposter syndrome, how it shows up when you're trying to obviously reinvent yourself. Apologies this week, I'm having to read from my phone. I've got my glasses on. You maybe see the white light and the rim. Unfortunately, you're going to need to put up with that. I'm no Joe Rogan and I'm struggling to read my notes at the back. So hopefully I'm not looking at it too much, but let's go. So me and my best mate were having a conversation last week, and I was telling him about a story about when he told me, we're in the pub having a few beers, and he had said to me, "You've reinvented yourself about 7 times over the years." Throwaway comment, just talking about it in the pub, having a laugh and a joke, but it caught me. And I went right back to when I was a teenager, triggered me. A dramatic event happened to me when I was about 16. That's a whole new podcast. But it took me ages in my friendship group to find my voice, find my confidence. And when he made that comment, it took me right back to then. The fear, the anxiety, and he'd moved on. It was me that was sitting there with all this kind of anxiety building up. But it got me thinking at the time. And I was like, have I reinvented myself? Like, what does he mean? He wasn't meaning anything by it. He wasn't saying I was sifting new different types of personalities. He wasn't having a go at that. But it got me thinking, I actually have reinvented myself. He flagged the number 7, but I have reinvented myself, and I'll tell you for why. When I was in my teenage years, like I say, something happened to me that kind of knocked me, and I wasn't confident, I wasn't my real self, and I kind of floated about until I was about 20. I moved away, and I used to regret moving away. I moved down south when I was about 18. I used to regret that, but thinking about it now, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I came back a totally different person. The area I was brought up in and the environment I was brought up in, there's kind of dominant figures in my friendship group, and I just struggle to find my place. So I get when people, I know I always talk about it, feel stuck, feel trapped, scared a wee bit, as if they don't know where to go. I felt like that in my younger years, right up into my early 20s. Float in now and again, but I really know how people feel in that environment, because that was me. But what happened to me was, I moved away. I was semi-decent at football, joined the football team, get new mates. They didn't know me, obviously I didn't know them. So it's not as if you could be somebody totally different, but the pressure I know being in the environment I grew up in was kind of lifted, and I could just be myself, which I did. And I grew in confidence as a result of that, because I had this new friendship group that liked me, and I ended up being quite popular in that friendship group, which was something I wasn't really used to. So when I came back, and inevitably I knew I was going to come back, I come back with these skills, this confidence, and I could fit back into my group. But the second thing, and this is what I talk about with that wee voice in your head, when I was growing up, like my best mates have been apologetically the same all the way through. They've been happy in their skin, which I admire. I admire them for that. I'm that now, but I wasn't that growing up, and I just couldn't get my head around how they were like that, because I was fucking struggling, although I wouldn't tell anybody, which is another story. But when I came back up the road, I was this new person. But the thing as well, they'd done really well for themselves career-wise. They had trades, they were making money, and that wee voice in my head and the fear that I was experiencing was, fuck, if I don't get a half-decent job, they're going to leave me. I'm going to lose all my mates, which is fucking insane. Not the fact that they like you, but if you're not earning the same money as them, and that probably would have happened, because they're wanting to do festivals, gigs, holidays, and if you've not got the money for that, unfortunately, you get left behind. There's no malice in it. That's just what happens. You're young and these want to do. But one thing that happened to me, and luck you can reinvent yourself, you can learn these skills, but luck's got a big play to part in that. I landed, I had a good job when I stayed down south, and I couldn't get the same job back up the road. But a wee bit of luck happened to me. I had a friend that worked in the railway, so I landed in the railway, and it was the first place I had landed where I could see a career. First of all, I knew what kind of, you could, if you'd done really well, you moved on to this level, that level, and you knew what kind of money they were earning. So see, like, my money worries and the pressure, it was unbelievable. And obviously you're back up the road, and it's the same as yourself. You're learning these skills, and you're progressing, and you're wanting to grow. It's your environment. I mean, I started off in an environment where I didn't feel as if I had a voice. Moved to a totally different environment, became these things, and then moved back. There's nothing to do with my friends and all that. I've got loads of good mates, but it was me. I didn't feel right in the current environment. Moved away, learned what I had to learn, and then came back up the road. Was lucky enough to land this job, and then you grow from there. So that kind of throwaway comment that he had made, it was well before I was working in the railway, well before this comment was made. But when I actually think back of the stuff I'd done, I was always learning, progressing, skill building. Because when I landed in the railway, I seen a path. My first time ever, I was in this place where people had worked for like 30 and 40 years in this one company, and it was like, if you do well here, this is what you could do. So that's what I done. I just get my head down, put my hand up, volunteered. They send you in loads of courses, they invest in you, and I started just moving through the ranks, basically, becoming the person you want to become, being confident, having a voice, and growing. And that's a kind of real kind of skill for life. And the reason I say imposter syndrome shows up, see the more you move to the next level, you always feel as if you're inadequate, you don't belong, all these people are much cleverer than you, you're never going to learn it, you're never going to go on. But the trick is, everybody feels like that. Everybody feels like you feel. They're all get imposter syndrome because you vocalise it, you speak about it, and they go, I feel the exact same, I felt the exact same, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. When I first started the same as you, I felt all this stuff. It doesn't change. So it's always that voice. You need to, I've failed in fucking loads of things in my life, and I've tried loads of things, so that's how I know when you first start something new, the voice comes in. It tells you you're not going to be able to do this. However yours shows up, mine's fucking says I'm not good enough, I'm going to fail, and that's all right. It's all right to just sit in that. I've been here loads of times, I've done it loads of times, and that is the trick, is to keep doing it. That every level you move through in your life, you should be shedding. You should be 7 different versions. You should be 8 different versions, because you're growing. You don't want to be. Like, I met somebody from school the other month, and they're going, fucking, and I've obviously seen a few people have seen these podcasts, and they've got in touch saying, fucking hell, you've came a long way since the last time I seen you. Aye, it was fucking 15 years ago. I should hope so. If I hadn't came a long way, then obviously you want to check yourself. So it's not a bad thing, reinventing yourself or moving on and growing with the skills you're learning. That's life. And every stage you get to, you're always going to feel insecure. You're always going to feel as if you're no good enough. You're never going to learn it. People are laughing at you. People are judging you. I watched a podcast. I get a newsletter every week from James Clear, who wrote, it's not a personal newsletter, it's about fucking 1.5 million people on the email list, but I'm one of the 1.5 million, but I get a letter every week. But I watched him on a podcast, and he wrote the book Atomic Habits, amazing book, and he even said that he doesn't share anything in his private WhatsApp group, he doesn't share anything in his Facebook about anything he's wrote. This guy has sold 52 million copies of a book, and even he feels inadequate sometimes, or he feels scared, the fear of judgment, the fear of people talking about him. The trick is, everybody's talking about you and everybody's judging you. The trick is to keep going. You need to work through it. You need to, everything passes. You need to sit in it, deal with it, it passes and you keep going. Funny story, because this is about the 4th video I've put out this week. Not put out, done, and I've just realised I've not got my microphone on, but this is the one I'm sending out because I've had a wobble. I was doing these videos and I was like that, I'm fucking talking a lot of shit. And I don't know if anybody's going to listen to this, just that voice that creeps in, you know yourself. And Lisa was going, look, she's training to be a therapist, like, obviously, where's your evidence? Thoughts on the facts, where is your evidence that you are talking a lot of nonsense? Because all I've heard you say is people saying positive things about what you're saying. And I'm saying, I know you're right. You're right. I just don't feel, when I'm putting the camera on, I just don't feel as if I'm engaging and you're slurring your words. And I mean, you want to see, if you think this video is bad, you want to see the last 3. But even Lisa, she's training to be a therapist. She works in the railway as well. And you have to have 100 hours. So she's got a wee counter on a wee thing on the counter where you put the things in. She's done about 52 hours. But even that means she's helped 52 people. All her comments are positive. She's super smart. She's got it. Even when I was having my wobble this week, she was having hers. So I'm having to, like, basically have coaching conversations and ask her, look, where's the evidence? Because basically the same. And she's going, no, I know. But so it creeps in anywhere. Anything you've ever done, I get it. I felt shy, I felt scared, you feel judged, you feel as everybody's talking about you, but the trick is you need to keep going, because the more you sit in it and the more you keep going, the better you get at it. You remember that, fuck, this happens, don't worry about that, and then that's how you start moving on, progressing and achieving. And the reason I'm doing this is I love engaging with people, I love helping people. I've always wanted to start a podcast, but not everybody's in my friendship group. We hang about with each other because we like each other. We're all different, so not everybody's into this, and that's all right. You can find your community on here, you can join clubs, you can take dance classes, whatever it is. That's why I do this, because sometimes you're in your friendship group and it's the self-help stuff, and I love all this. If I've learned something new, I want to speak about it, even sometimes to Lisa, and you can see them going, for fuck's sake, like, shut up, which is fine. I know that, just tell me, it's fine. But that's why I wanted to start a podcast, to speak about the stuff I was interested in. So sometimes you have to put that wee voice to the side and just go for what you want. Before I leave, there's a last thing I want to speak about when we're talking about reinventing yourself, which is a good thing, and imposter syndrome showing up. I follow this guy on Instagram, he's great. He's about all these billionaires and millionaires, and he asked them, like, how did you become rich? You've probably seen him. And even they, have you ever doubted yourself? 1,000,000%. I doubt myself. But the thing, if you look at every successful person you know, and I've been about a few successful people, see, one thing they've got is belief. They believe they deserve a seat at the table. They believe they should be in the room, and they do believe they're making a difference. And that's what you should be doing too, because I believe that. It's all right ticking all the boxes, but if you don't believe, and I know I say it all the time, see, if you don't believe you're going to get there, you'll never get there. So, thanks very much for listening. Like I say, I know I said they were coming out every week. This one's a wee bit late. I had a wobble. That'll not be happening again. This is the video I will be using. As always, connect with me on It's Reinvent on Instagram and TikTok. Lisa's not well. She's not been well this week. So I hope you can't hear her in the shower. She just clicked on. So she is going to come on. We're trying to get a date. I've got Caleb next week, but we're trying to get a date to get her on. I've sent a few emails out. I've asked a few people. One of them's a cracker. If I can get him on, then it'll be great. But as always, have a good weekend. Thanks very much for listening. Cheers.